All right, and welcome listeners to the Thursday afternoon version of the Radical Fabulatorium that I'm deciding to call the Radical Francofatorium. I normally focusing on French music, but I got a special interview here lined up today. I'm joined in the studio by Sam and Nick from Omnivide. What's up, guys?
Hey, not much. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys here. You coming down from Edmonton today, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so on tour right now with Vortex. Playing tonight, Haven Music Hall with Elevate the Virus, some St. Johners.
Yep, and there's also Zayon from France on there as well.
Perfect, cool. From France, awesome. I didn't know they were from France, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not often we get a band from Europe to come play the Maritimes.
Yeah, exactly, especially metal band.
Yeah, metal band, exactly.
So who hooked that up?
It's Vortex, yeah.
Okay.
I believe they're trying to do a trade-off where they might go in Europe eventually, something along those lines. But
okay.
Yeah, they brought them down here, so
that's very cool. Very cool. So how the gig's been going so far?
Really good. We had 4 gigs last weekend as well. We went to Trois-Rivières, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec. And, they were good. We had a good time. And now we're on this run that's more in the Maritimes, except Rimouski on Saturday. So, yeah, it's going to be nice.
Cool. And A Tale of Fire, your debut record, the drums were done in Quebec, right?
That's right.
In the province of Quebec?
Yep.
Yeah. Were they in Quebec City?
Yes. François Fortin is the name of the engineer. He has a studio called La Boîte Noire. And we went up there in May of 2023 already. So yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's a blur.
Something about the Quebec metal scene, right?
Especially tech death, honestly. I think in Eastern Canada and in Quebec specifically, it's like before Quebec, I think it was mainly Germany where all the tech bands were coming out of. And then there was just an influx of tech death coming from Quebec for whatever reason over the last 10 years. And now in terms of metal, I think Canada is more known for tech death than the other, all the other genres in metal, which is, I never thought that would happen growing up listening to that music. So it's cool. Yeah.
Would someone like Martyr be considered tech death? Is that kind of different, or?
I think there's some tech aspects, but I think they're more like prog than tech. I don't know. Would you say they're more prog than tech?
Yeah, I think they would be because of what they were doing at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like they were the early tech influence on a lot of bands, even though if you compare it to the new style, it's different. But they certainly had an influence, I would say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember seeing them at the Manhattan, maybe. Remember that Moncton venue?
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I feel like they came down, and but one of their guitar players hurt himself or something, so they had to do it as a 3-piece.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting.
It's a really good band. I think I saw Black Dahlia Murder at the Manhattan.
Yeah, they played there. Yeah. Man, they're wicked.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Yeah. So, touring as a metal band, you're 5-piece, right? So what is that? Someone who doesn't know what that looks like, tell me, kind of tell everyone the story of packing the gear up into a car and taking off.
Well, it looks like, we don't own like a band van because, any local band has a budget and it usually doesn't include a whole vehicle and insurance and everything. So it's our own vehicles, which means they're not usually large vehicles. So we travel with 2 cars. So we're always split between the 2 cars. We load the gear. We managed to just fit everything in the bodies in the cars and,
jam-packed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's, we're lucky where we get some good sleeping arrangements sometimes, we haven't had to sleep on floors too much, but sometimes that's the case as well. So, depends, but sometimes it can be rough and tiring. Sometimes it's more accommodating and not too rough, but it's worth it for the music for sure.
Yeah, I find the 10 hours a day more tiring than sleeping on the ground, to be fair. But
the driving. Do you guys share driving, or is there a couple people?
It depends. If someone is tired, then someone will grab the driving duty. But yeah, we listen to how everyone feels and all that kind of workload stuff. So
And who controls the music? There any rules?
We pass it around.
Yeah, we pass it around. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the main entertainment, and we get to know each other a lot on those drives as well. For sure.
You're living in a vehicle together. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you guys are both guitar players, right?
Yes.
Are the rigs you bring on the road, are they like heads with half stacks or full stacks, or are you bringing is it all what's the right word?
We have modelers, I guess.
Modelers, yeah, okay.
Yeah. We built a rig like that. We had Axe Effects before we even started touring, and that's our main setup. We used to have one, and we could play both guitars through it, but now we have 2. It's all in one rig unit where we have that, and we have an in-ear system as well, so it's very nice. It's it's ish compact. You know, it doesn't save much space if you think about it, but it is like efficient, and it really works for our sound and for the technical aspect of it as well. So yeah.
When you say in-ears, you mean like so you can hear yourself playing?
Like we have our own in-ear mix that comes from that system as well, so we don't have to do monitors when we go at shows, which is really nice.
You don't have to rely on the sound guy.
And not rely on it.
Exactly.
We always hear ourselves the same way for the most part. Yeah.
So like Nick, can you have a different mix than what Sam had?
It's like connected to my phone. So if for whatever reason we're at a venue and I don't hear something because of the room and the noise, I can just go and just be like, oh, I want my guitar up louder, Sam guitar, the click or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it just alleviates the stress of having to rely on somebody you don't know that doesn't know your music, especially when it's extreme tech death as well. It's it's kind of its own thing to mix. And yeah, when we made the switch to play with a click track and having your own in-ears, I used to play live on the floor, like just you blast your stack and you hope for the best. And now it's very more organized and professional. So I enjoy the switch a lot more.
You can I can remember, I was in a metal band back in the day, and it was like, sometimes you just be like, you just expect not to hear the kick drum. That's probably not
you expect to not hear a lot of things.
You're just like play what feels, but what feel basically.
No, okay. It's I feel it's crazy because I was thinking about that the other day that like 10 years ago or like 10 years ago, when you went to go see local metal bands, nobody had crazy gear. It was really just like you show up with a couple amps and you set up and you go. And now when you look at almost every single metal band, it's all modelers, it's all rack units, it's Axe effects, it's Kempers, it's all like extremely expensive high-end gear. And it's interesting to see how metal has moved into that over like just a bunch of stacks or whatever it is.
The two 4x12s and like triple rack or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you bring cabs or do you?
We still play through cabs, so depending. Sometimes we arrange things so that every band that we're playing with locally brings the cabs just to save space. So we figure out a way to make everything fit in that sense. Yeah.
What about drums? Do you share drums or do you usually have your own rig?
Share, and like on this tour, we're not bringing drums or cabs, for example. We're lucky.
Okay.
So
because you're with the same band.
Yeah.
For the stretch.
Exactly,
whatever,
and they're bringing it, so it's very convenient. Yeah.
That's nice. Gear sharing.
Yeah, it helps. It helps a lot. Yeah.
That's cool about the modelers because like I remember Impulse, is that what they're called? Impulses? Do you guys like load
Impulse responses is the cabinet part of it. It emulates the cab. Yeah. And those make like probably the biggest difference on the sound, even more so than the amp. Like the impulse response is like it's like a big filter that your sounds goes through, so you gotta pick the right one.
Would you have those rigged up before they go, like it goes into the modeler, into the impulse, and then out the cab?
Yeah, it's all so basically what happens is, since we're playing with cabs, if it goes in our ears, or we can also give the sound direct to front of house in the PA system, those go through the impulse response, but we also go through our cabs on stage, and that does not go through the impulse response. There's a split in the signal that skips it, and then that we still get like the normal cab sound from the cab. So it's a bit of both. Yeah,
that's cool.
And we're nimble. We're like, if there was a venue where they didn't want cabs or anything like that, we can give just our signal to front of house as well. So we can have it both ways basically. But it's better to have cabs on stage because when people are close up to the front, they don't necessarily hear the PA that loud. So it's good to have the amps on stage for that reason.
For the stage volume.
Yeah. Okay. And the feel, even for us, like I prefer to feel the cab behind me.
Oh, yeah, same.
It's always better.
Feel the air moving.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Get into it more.
Yeah.
Well, it's just nice because our in-ear mixes aren't necessarily the best either. And if you're on stage and all you hear is the drums, then you have to rely more on your in-ear. And it's just a weird thing to... It's completely doable and fine. It's just... Yeah, we enjoy having a cab sound on stage, and I think people live enjoy that more too. It's just to me, metal is like a loud thing, so having that kind of helps that style, in my opinion.
To have a loud stage volume, but you can still send the tech a clean signal if that's all they want.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because I remember that was one of the biggest. That would piss off a tech guy sometimes if the stage volume, and you can understand why, if the stage volume was so overwhelming that they're like, we can't do anything.
No, we never do that. No, if someone is like, turn on the amps, we turn on the amps.
Yeah.
Like it's not, it's not just a show about having loud guitars, right? So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how many venues have had stairs?
Oh, yeah, we've had some.
All of them.
All of them? That's the answer I thought you would say.
A lot of them.
Yeah, it feels like it's all of them.
Flights of stairs.
Yeah. Toronto was one. We played at, what was the name? I forget.
Hard Luck?
The Hard Luck Tavern, yeah, and that one has like a good flight of stairs.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely warms you up for the show.
The show, yeah. And is your bassist, is he rocking like an 8x10 or is he?
We haven't had to bring a bass cab yet,
Nice,
but
okay.
he would technically use a cab. But he does have like a more compact cab at least. Like
Yeah.
So it's not as bad.
It's not as like those hilarious
No, it's not those huge ones.
No,
Yeah.
That feels unnecessary
Very
most of the
unnecessary.
time.
Yeah, it looks cool though.
Yeah.
That's
It's
fun.
incredibly loud for what you need. Yeah. Same with like we only have 212s if we bring our own cabs. Like we don't have 412s because it's just not necessary.
It's a lot.
Also, yeah. Unless you're playing at a festival outside and you're using the cab volume as the main volume, that's really the only reason you would need that much volume, really. So yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
So you guys working on anything new?
Well, we have an EP that we finished.
Oh, cool.
So it's all done and dusted. We're in the mastering stage right now, and that's being released in October, is it?
Very cool.
So we've been pretty much on the grind ever since the first album and then the tour. As soon as we got back from the tour, we immediately started writing.
Yep.
And having signed to Seek and Strike, that label, we have more deadlines as opposed to before the label. So me and Sam just really bunkered down and had no life for a couple months, and we wrote it, recorded it, and just waiting for it to get released now. Cool. And now, as we're waiting to get for it to be released, we're thinking about writing for the third one. So we're staying ahead as long as possible, basically.
It was the label that kind of gave you a deadline, or did they suggest
Yeah, it wasn't like a hard deadline, but they were like, we think it'd be really good if you guys release something sooner, because there's also albums in the contract, but there was an EP, and they said like, if you guys do an EP now, that'll come out sooner and we can promote it properly. Whereas like they did re-release our album, but it was just kind of like a soft release, like they just put it on their label, but they wanted it to like prop us up properly, so we were all for it because that's what we want to do as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was like about a 9-month process of writing and recording, and it was we didn't stop. We just kept going until we were done.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the writing process look like? Like, Nick, would you like do your thing and then bring it to Sam? Sam, you go do your thing.
Yeah, I think we both trust each other a lot, especially having worked on music together for almost a decade now. And then, I have my own process. He has his own process. And I sit in a room alone, I write a bunch of stuff, and then bring it to him, and he does the same thing. And then if we have any comments, we do it, and just keep going from there.
But we kind of take the lead on songs and just like comment on each other's and give ideas. And there's no rules to what, like, someone could contribute something to the others, but like generally speaking, we tend to just like on this one, there's 4 songs. I wrote 2 songs, he wrote 2 songs, and we bounced off each other to complete them essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any, I don't know, importance, probably not the right word, but when you're writing a song, do you have like, is structure more important? Is like building up to a solo more important? Are you thinking vocals? Is there anything that kind of gets the...
I think once you have a certain type of understanding how that sort of music works and a certain, how would I say that? A certain level of understanding on how you write as well. I think the songs kind of dictate where they're going to go on their own.
Okay.
And then after that, you can kind of be like, it needs this, it needs that. But generally, like I think if you have a good bass when you start writing, like a good tempo and just like a color, as if like you want to start slow and end up fast, or you want to start really heavy and end up slow. I think those types of like things to think about is very handy. But in general, I tend to think that the music kind of dictates where you're going to go with it.
Okay.
That's kind of how I've done things. I think that's kind of how he does it too there.
Yeah, so a lot of feeling involved more than like this is the quote unquote right thing to do.
It's very inspiration based. Like we're just blending all the stuff that we like. I think that's how our music comes out. Really, is that we like a lot of different genres, from like tech death to classical music, straight death metal. I love power metal, so it all comes through in some kind of way. So that's why we have like some really heavy riffs, some clean sections, some melodic choruses that really like kind of all blends together. And we're kind of intentionally trying to do a blend we try to make it unique. That's the goal anyway. So I would say that's kind of the intention. And from there, it's just, we don't think about it too much, and we write.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you do both clean and distorted vocals?
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool. Is that tricky when you're riffing?
It's trickier live than anything, because of the harsh vocals is something that can like wear down your voice. So I have to work on my technique to make it better and better so that it doesn't affect my clean vocals during the same show.
Oh, because you could blow your voice out, of course.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Or just like it comes out more rough, and especially if you're doing consecutive shows. So that's like honestly the biggest challenge for harsh vocals is learning to make them not strain your voice as much. So that's really the biggest challenge.
Do you have to do like a vocal fry technique or something like that? Is that a thing?
That's basically what it is. Yeah, when you're doing growls, it's all like false chords kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not really like a black metal like super high kind of scream guy. I can kind of do it, but it's mostly like mid-range growl. So that's what comes out naturally.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you guys have a keyboard player too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a cool aspect to bring to it.
A lot of my favorite bands have always had really sick keyboard players, like Children of Bodom and Stradivarius and bands like that. And
Bodom, they shredded on the keyboard.
Yeah. I like made it a point to add some of that stuff on the first and on the EP because I absolutely love that stuff. And having a classical background, I kind of see a piano as a guitar almost. They're kind of hand in hand to me. Yeah, you can do certain techniques a lot easier on a piano compared to a guitar. So I tend to do those techniques more in the solos that I write for a keyboard.
Okay. So you play keys as well?
Not really. I just have a good understanding of it. I like having the classical background. I learned how to play piano, but I don't focus on playing piano. Theory wise and just in terms of writing, I know what I'm doing, but ask me to play it and I can't.
Okay.
So yeah.
But you can speak the language.
Oh yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Which is all you need really.
Yeah, as long as you get across the idea. Especially today, if you can write on like computers or whatever with MIDI, you can pretty much.
Guitar Pro saves my life.
Guitar Pro, yeah.
Saved my life. That's Use everything. I write everything on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, let's give everyone a taste here of a tune. I'm kind of thinking Holy Killer, if that's cool with you guys.
Go for it.
Yeah. All right, so here's we're going to toss on Holy Killer off Omnivide's debut record, A Tale of Fire. Can we say it's out on Seek and Strike? Or it is, right? Okay, so it's out on Seek and Strike. They're going to be at Haven Music Hall tonight with Elevate the Virus, Vortex, and remind me how to say the France name again? Zayon. But they'll be back after this song to chat a little bit more, right, guys?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, here we go. Holy Killer by Omnivide. All right, that's Holy Killer by Omnivide off their debut record, A Tale of Fire. Shredfest on that song.
Yeah, a lot of shredding.
Yeah, I guess the whole album's kind of a shred, except for maybe the last song, right? Stone Dragon.
Yeah, that one's slow. There's not really shred except a bit of solos at the end. But
yeah, I would have played that one, but it's like 7.5 minutes, and I didn't want to take up too much of our chat time.
That's a problem with a lot of our songs.
that was what, 5 minutes, I think? That wasn't too bad.
Like no, yeah. It's funny because we didn't, looking back, I don't think we even tried to make shreddy solos or anything. Like when looking at the EP that we did, our solos are way more shreddy than the first album. Yeah.
Now, thinking about solos, are they constructed more with theory in mind, or are they also feeling based?
I think me and Sam have two completely different ways of writing solos. I think Sam's a better solo player than me, so I think he has more tools in his arsenal, whereas me, I just kind of I do a lot of trial and error until something works, or until I find something that I like, basically. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Do you like writing one more than the other, like solos versus riffs? Is there a difference in terms of like enjoyability? Is that a word?
Yeah.
I think I like both the same. I don't know. They both have their own worlds. Mm-hmm. I think being good at solos is separate from songwriting, and songwriting is separate from certain riffing. Mm-hmm. So I think they all have their own school of thought. And I think that what I enjoy a lot is just putting all three together. Like I personally think that there should be more solos in music, so I want solos in mine.
Okay.
And I think it's an important aspect to metal in general.
Okay.
Or just music that we grew up on as well. Like I love the 80s for like shredders and all that guitar wank stuff.
The Malmsteen and
all that stuff. Eddie Van Halen.
Just a second, who's the guy who has like the 4? Michelangelo?
Bacio, yeah.
He's funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Insane.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, do you use like something for superior drummer or anything, or do you feed the riffs to the drummer and he comes up with his own parts?
Yeah. We use Get Good Drums from that's kind of a good one that we've been relying on. It's just for mapping. Our drummer records drums. He did it on the EP as well, like real drums, but we'll do just a map of like what we think the feel of the riff should be, and then he takes it from there and does his own thing, and we talk about it back and forth, and Yeah, it works well.
Yeah.
We kind of produce like full demos as we present them to the band.
Yep.
It's not just like, here's a riff, everybody add their part usually, but they also get the chance to add their parts. Just we kind of present like a general idea so that they can then do what they want, and we work together. So it's still a collaborative process, even though we kind of come up with the main songs. Everybody kind of has a part to play afterwards as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's one of the best parts, I think, in terms of like where the technology is at, like being able to use it as a composition tool and have the whole vision at least there to present to someone.
Absolutely.
It helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Instead of just trying to like, no, do beep, boop, beep.
Yeah, no, that's what I love Guitar Pro, to be honest. You can just write so many wild stuff as a whole, like not just for one instrument. So I love that.
Do you guys play 7 strings?
Yep.
Yep.
So how do like the gauge of your strings, how does that affect your playing? And did it take like a while to settle in on a thickness or a...
Well, it is different, but like we play a full step down, so we have to be bigger strings.
Okay.
And because we're full step down, we have a longer scaled length as well.
Oh, okay.
But it all works out, really. I guess at the end of the day, the strings are normal stiffness. If you compare it to like a 6 string in standard tuning, it's not very different.
Okay.
The gauges are adjusted, but yeah, the strings are a bit bigger, so it might take some adjusting. I can't remember at this point, so we've been playing them for like 5 or 6 years at this point.
Yeah,
So.
I remember it's a bit odd switching from a 6 string to 7 string, but me having played classical guitar, the neck is already bigger than a regular guitar on classicals, I find. So to me, the switch was easier because of that. So.
Oh, yes, because classical guitars, there's bigger distance, right?
Yeah,
or it's wider?
The neck is just bigger than like a regular electric or an acoustic for whatever reason.
Is that because it's like mostly it's all finger style usually, right?
Well, it's nylon strings instead of whatever the normal strings are. Is it copper or
nickel wound?
Nickel, yeah.
Nickel wound,
So, it's just a different construct of instrument, I guess. But when you pick up a classical and you start playing it, the first thing you'll notice is like, geez, it's like it feels weird to play these chords. It's like separate, more separate almost.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's cool. Is there any classical guitar on this record?
The EP, yes.
The EP there is. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
The EP there is.
I'll be excited to hear that mixed in.
It's there's a lot of the stuff that I wrote on a classical guitar, like in Death Me Not Proud, I wrote that on a classical, and then I learned how to play it on an electric. So there's some doodling that I do on my own that I do on my classical and move it on to electric, but on the EP there is specifically classical guitar for the first time.
Okay. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. We have there's like a classical finger picking style going on, and then you have like a piano and a lead guitar doing a dual solo over it. So
nice.
It's pretty proggy.
Okay. And that's going to be out later this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. On Seek and I keep wanting to say Seek and Destroy.
I know, me too. I say that often.
Seek and Strike.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for coming in, guys. We're pretty much out of time here. I'll let everyone know tonight at Haven Music Hall. Doors are at 8, or maybe the doors are at 7, I think. 7:30, and show's at 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically.
Cool.
Show at it. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So you can pay at the door, or you can save $5, buy them in advance. You can Elevate the Virus, Vortex, and Zoon.
Zayon.
Yeah. Man.
I say Zion, so whatever.
Okay. From France. So come check that out. That's wicked. Where are you guys off to tomorrow?
Moncton.
And is that the last gig of the stretch?
And then Rimouski after that.
Then Rimouski, cool. To say goodbye to the Vortex guys.
Yeah, it's because we're following them, so that's their hometown. So
yeah, gotcha.
They're finishing there. We got to drive
nice.
back after.
Finish strong at home on a Saturday.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Pump for that one.
Awesome. Yeah, so when the new EP comes out, you guys will have to come back again, and we'll chat some more.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So maybe in the last few seconds here, I'll throw on, since I wanted to hear Stone Dragon, maybe we'll toss that on. And yeah, go ahead and check out the record, guys. It's friggin' wicked, out of Moncton, Omnivide, A Tale of Fire. And this is the closing track to it, Stoned Dragon.